AHK specific one. So are you already going?
It's just, well, I didn't mean to hit yes, but now I did. So yeah.
Right.
We don't, but let's just hold on and see if, give a couple, if anyone happens to join.
Yep, I'm gonna start live streaming.
Okay. Yeah, normally it pops up and it says, when you hit this, it's going to go. And this time it just dropped right into it, which was weird. But okay.
All right, I'm live.
Hey, everyone. Hey.
Hello.
Look at me.
So we're here taking your questions. If anybody joins or is watching this later, you can always do the survey, which will be linked in the description for next Friday. That way we can kind of prep, or if you're going to miss it completely, you can still watch it later and hopefully answer your question. And the survey is pretty easy. It takes like 1, maybe 2 minutes at the most, depending on how much you need to type to ask us something or any code you need to upload.
I removed the other questions about the what days, this and that. So it really is just what's the code? Hey, upload a file if you want. And then if they want to get notified about our meetings, they can give us an email address and name so we can, remind them. But yeah, it's very short and tight now.
Yep. And it's the same link every single week. So if you think of a question, a few weeks from now, you can still use that same link to ask for the next video or live stream. But let me make you full screen there. That's better.
Actually, I just had a question submitted.
Oh.
It's on. When I say a question submitted, someone wrote in a reply to one actually on the video, because you and I talk about this, right? Often they randomly write a question. This one is on a long press. I have a video on a long press hotkey. So how you can, if it's a short press, it does one thing. If you long hold it, it'll do something else. So in this, he wanted to map the escape key. If he presses it more than 3 seconds, the computer to go to sleep. Otherwise, it's just normal escape key. So we can work through that. Let me.
Yeah, I've had that question come up before. I think I did a video where I mentioned it, but I can't remember what video it was that I did that in.
Yeah, mine is actually, it has the name of it. Close active probe by pressing a defined key, long press key. This sounds like it's exactly what it does. So I don't understand what, but let me see where I link to. Okay, so now I have that. It is the escape key. It's just a half a second. What do you? Don't take this the wrong way. He's like, but it's already doing that. It's just he needs to expand it from a half a second to 3 seconds. Yeah, you change 0.5 to 3,000. Yeah.
I think I did a video about that, or I have it on my book as a video to do. I can't remember. Either way, it's coming. Because that does get asked a lot is, how can I make it work as normal unless I hold it for more than, X amount of seconds. I think my video was on left click, actually. It was one of my gaming scripts. Yeah. If you hold left click for more than a few seconds, start doing, I think, spamming it or something.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds like pretty much what a hacker, a game hacker would want. Yeah, which is cool. As long as you're not cheating in a real, competitive game, I'm cool with that.
Actually, I think it might have been my video for how to use AutoHotkeys if you have like a disability or something, because, a lot of people have like hand problems.
Sure.
I think that's the video where I did that and where I talked about like, it can be rough for some people to be able to click so often. So I did that. But I know a lot of people are going to use it for gaming and stuff, obviously.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm okay with that as long as it's not actually cheating in like a first-person fighting game.
Yeah, I always say that in the videos too. And I usually don't do videos that are involving multiplayer. I'm always like, hey, this is for single player games and stuff. After you upload so many videos, you start to forget.
Oh God, yeah.
You forget what you made and have it made. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'm in there like, I'm like, did I do a video about that? And which one was it? I can't remember.
Well, if it makes you feel, any worse, I'm almost at 1,000 videos. I'm getting close. Yeah. Let me share my screen, and actually I'm going to change. Well, let me share my screen first. Here we go.
I know I surpassed 100 videos. I think I'm around 120 or so.
Cool. So this was and let me comment this out. This was the initial thing I had released in a video. And this is the command to close. It'll kill the power, I think. So we're going to obviously comment that out. And so we're just changing it to do that. So right here, I mean, time. Oh, interesting. T05. So I don't, I would have to say this just gets changed to 3,000, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna save this.
You can. I would think you get rid of it, right?
But the T, that's what I'm saying. What the hell was the T for? I think that has to do with time. But hold on, let's try it with it and then without it, because I don't know. I must have borrowed this from someone. And Studio sometimes acts funny if you don't give it a name. So
it might just be like a formatting thing if you don't want to use milliseconds, because it looked like you were using like actual seconds.
Oh, good, right. Good point. Yeah. So, well, actually, so let's first do
the thing you could do. I've always just thought,
yeah,
milliseconds was it.
Okay, so I just launched it, and I'm going to hold down escape. 1, 2. Oh, you know what's funny? That's hilarious. I have a hotkey in one of my other scripts, and any active program I'm in, if I long press escape, it kills that program, which is hilarious. That I totally forgot that was
So you're already using it.
Yeah. So let me suspend the hotkeys, and I think it's in my main script. And let me start back Studio up. Thankfully, I had actually saved that file. Let's try it again. I should have a single instance force, that's what's in here. But okay, let's try it again. 1, 2, 3. No. Not work. One.
What if you get rid of all the if error level thing?
Well, you know what? This is a good, here's a good thing. It's like, this is how we troubleshoot, right? It's I don't know why that did that there. So I want to test when we get into this, right? So, okay, good. So we got into it, right? That was my first. Okay, so we're in there. Now, okay, I'm fine with getting rid of that. Let's relaunch it. And 1, 2, 3. Oh, look, it did it. Okay. Wait, is it waiting for it for me to be released?
Release it. Yeah, that's what it
sounds like. Yeah. So let me relaunch it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and let me short press it. Oh, so that was a short press.
Yeah, I haven't really messed with a key weight except for that once. Let me see if I can find that, what I did.
Oh, so 1, 2, 3. Now if error, what if? Well, let's add back this T. Oops. T. 1, 2, 3. I should drop that down to like 1 just because there's no real. Yeah, interesting. 1. Well, you know what? Let's go back to the 0.5. It was 0.05, right? That's what was. Oh, I saw it doing something there. See it coming up? You may not see it in Zoom because just the delay, but it's popping up.
I got some code. I'm gonna try it, see what that mine does. Just use testing.
Now I feel bad for saying how simple it is. Let me bring this over to show that. You know what? Just trying to. I'm going to include that. There we go.
3,000 also. 3,000.
And escape. Okay. Well, that time it worked. Yeah, I don't know. Well, so what's the key weight? Yeah, I don't use that key weight.
That's weird. My code's doing the same thing too, where it's just instant.
T. Oh, look at that. That's interesting. So T is timeout. T3 is number of seconds to wait. So yeah, I've never. See, this is one of the things that it drives me nuts with AutoHotkey, right? Everything other than what is it? The clip weight. The clip weight is also at seconds, right? And here it's not 3,000, it's 3, right? And the clip weight's the same way, is that it's seconds, not milliseconds. Why are those two commands, why don't they have them as seconds? And even if it's like, well, no one will ever use it, I don't give a crap, right? It's, what, it's just better to be consistent. So anyway, I think that that does it. Now, and you would just, of course, comment this one because I don't want to send my computer to sleep. That'd be bad. Yeah. Now here's another. I don't know if you do anything like this, Tom, but let me get rid of this because we don't need it. I can highlight this, and I have a hotkey, so I can hit Alt G. Oh, that's funny. I have my hotkeys disabled. So turn off that. So now they're working. Actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and re-enable that. And now it's back. And so I'm going to say highlight this, Alt G, and long press 3 secs. Sleep. Then I'm going to hit my just button. And now down here, I could embed this on my website with this one, or I can just post this here. And that way, when we navigate to it, it looks all pretty and everything. But I love how convenient and easy that is. It saves me a ton of time of, yeah.
So wait, did you get it working with the?
Yeah. Yeah, it's T, because that's why I was saying is the 3, I was putting 3,000, right? And you have to have the T for time, but 3, it's just not consistent with the with everything else, almost everything else on AutoHotkey.
Yeah, that is weird. Never noticed that. Never had to use it, I guess.
Yeah, I never used that long press key. So hey, we solved now. Let me see here. Comments. Hopefully, I don't know if you notice, and it's weird. Oh, here we go. Good.
Before I've used like a now tick before. Is another way I've done it, but for some reason it's acting up on me too, which is weird because I've done the code before and I did it in a video and it worked fine.
You know what? Here's a great one for you, Tom. I mean, I think I could probably, it's not complex, but I just saw he was doing stuff in a game, and I know you do stuff in games, right? So I'll let you look at, someone had submitted this question a couple days ago. I forgot it was there, so I forgot to reply to him. He wants to know the best way to send, the command. Is it send input, or send this and that? I think send input is the best way. Is that right? For most games? Okay. So, yeah. And that's where you can set the default instead of saying, at the beginning, right?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, send has always worked just fine, but
It had
sometimes
yeah.
but
I was trying
just won't allow any type of send to work, and the reason behind that is because, especially if you're like in full screen, it's a way to prevent keyloggers within the game. If you're especially using like a username and password to log in, they kind of block stuff like that.
cool.
So if none of the sends are working, it's not your script or anything. It's just the game does not allow that kind of input. And just kind of like anti-cheat, anti-hack kind of thing. Don't get your information stolen from a virus on your computer that's keylogging you.
Right.
Because that comes up a lot where people sit there and they're like, I've tried everything. Why won't it work? What's wrong with my script? And it's just like, nothing's wrong with your script.
When I did one, I think it's in my intro to AutoHotkey, or it might have been the hot strings, just because it's a little more tied to that. But I was doing it in Doom, if you remember Doom. I found an online, one you could download to your computer now and just play it. And so I did it in that, and it actually had difficulty accepting the default one. So I had to play around with it and try different send methods.
Yeah, every game's really different. So honestly, there's no real good answer to that, I guess. What's this one about the syntax? Which is correct?
Honestly, well, he wanted. Yeah, the problem is it depends on the keys you're sending, right? I like to send raw, just keep it simple, but depends.
I usually go with the first one there, send, (1), but all three of those will work.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I stay away from that last one, just because, hey, that's just more typing, honestly. Send, do whatever is
sure. Well, but again, if it depends, and here's an interesting part: is it depends what as a programmer. If you're in control of those characters getting sent, then you can know ahead of time, is there going to be an exclamation point, or a special character that you're going to have to deal with. So then you're right. You already know ahead of time, oh, I'm never going to send the pound sign. Okay, then it's fine. But if you're not aware, doing that, then building it in a better way, I would just say send the paste, right? Shove it all into the clipboard and send paste.
Yeah, that's the fastest way for sure. I mean, if you're doing more than like a sentence or everything and you want it as fast as possible, yeah, send paste is going to be instant for everything. Now, if you're using it in a game, you don't want to do that because you do want it to, maybe not go that fast. The game will probably not register it because the pound is it enter or Windows key? Or
the pound is the Windows key. Yeah.
Windows key. Okay. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, well, I said the exclamation point for Alt and the pound for Windows key. Yeah.
Windows key. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the enter key?
Well, that's just return between curly braces is how you send it. Yeah. Unless and this is where, again, if you're sending keystrokes versus characters, right, you can put the tick mark R between quotes, right, or tick mark R in, tick mark R, tick mark in for a line carriage return and a new line feed, but that's not going to trigger the enter key, right? So yeah, if you're trying to send the enter key versus a line return, that's one of the ones that's like, it's not the same thing.
Yeah. Yep. It's tilde and
see. I have. Oh no, keys. It's a good one. Now it's to the forum still taking a while. Tank, I talked to him earlier last week that they're still working on it.
Oh yeah, I saw a lot of people in different areas asking about that. And it was like he was working with a new company or something, and they just ran into some issues with them. That's why the site's being a little weird.
Well, it was the encrypt function issue with security certificate, encrypt certificate that yeah.
Yeah, I saw that asked on a few different spots.
Yeah.
What's going on.
I saw a question, and sorry, we'll get to you here in a moment, Patrick. He on my channel, he asked, how do you make find text function work with transparent windows? And the short answer is I haven't find text in a long time.
He's looking for transparent windows.
Well, no, I guess, sorry, maybe you did say it correctly. He's trying to write a program that is looking for text in a transparent window.
Okay.
Right. And obviously the big part about that is you're doing an image search, but the background, because depending on what the transparency is, was going to change, the image. Right. So, yeah, very problematic.
Yeah, I was wondering because the window still technically exists, but yeah, I mean, what you can see on your computer is pretty much what AutoHotkeys can see for the most part. So if it's transparent, yeah.
Well, but let's just, and I don't know if I can think of a quick way to get one to come up. Let me come on. Let me finish this and then we'll talk through. There we go. Okay. I just like to give them at least point them in the right direction, let people learn a little more. So, and I'm trying to think of how because I don't like transparent windows. They bug me. So I don't have, any that I really use, but let's just pretend that this was, this was a transparent window and you're looking for most, but sometimes the most is over this versus over this, right? So now back to your point, Tom. AutoHotkey is going to be, in this case, just like a human, and it's not going to be able to discern that picture, if this was transparent, is going to be different. Mm-hmm. So the image thing is going to fail, right? Like absolutely fail. Now, what you could try to do is to,
comms, depending on what program you're using, maybe.
Sure, we'll take a different approach. Absolutely. That's the first thing is what are you working in? Because if you're in a browser, especially if you're in IE, the answer is so much easier. If you're in Chrome, you can still use connect to it programmatically and search over stuff, which is great. There's also, let me see if I have a working. Yeah, I have a working demo of it. Let me.
Did he ask this in the chat or something?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have someone here. Woo!
See what program he's using.
Yeah. I'll actually.
That would at least kind of help us in his scenario.
Wow. I was typing and my dyslexia was really apparent. So let me show you one, Tom. I've been well, it's on the radar. Unfortunately, with Isaiah's not being available at the moment, at least. But I'll show you. I gave him an outline. Here we go. I'm gonna need to pull it up because I don't remember what the hell a hotkey is. So I wanted to have a tool. So this is the guts of it are still my window snipping tool, right? Actually, now I have it twice. So let me exit out of that one. So this is the window snipping tool, which everyone's seen and loves, right? It's great. You can also do, it should still have the OCR. So if this was text, so it grabbed the text, but let me see what, I made a hotkey. I made this one to use the UI automation tool, and it will go and get the text under the mouse. But I'm trying to remember. What?
So when you say text under the mouse, are you like highlighting or is
Control T? No, so let's say no. That's part of the problem, right? Is watch this. If I hit Control T, it just went and programmatically connected to Studio and got this text, right? It's not an OCR. It programmatically gets it. Now let's say we're in even in Chrome, it can sometimes, if you're on like a good level, oops, Control T apparently is a thing in Chrome. Bad example. All right, so maybe Firefox doesn't have it. But this all right, well, you know what we do is we just go back and we change the hotkey, right? Control Shift T. Okay, so Control Shift T, it works. Launch it again. Just all right. Now let's see if Control Shift T. No, unfortunately, didn't get that one. But let's say Excel. Let's say you're in Excel, right? And yeah, and I can't open that. I'm trying to think of one. We'll just let's see if I can get Control Shift T. So see that merge and center? It programmatically accessed this, right? This UI automation pathing. It's amazing.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah. So I had told Isaiah. Sorry, what's that?
How about the cells? Will it get one cell or can it?
I don't know. I haven't tried
it.
People
would really like this for sure.
Oops. Control Shift T. Oh, that's another hotkey I have.
Oh.
What? I wonder if that's a thing in Excel. Just let me. Oh, it looks like this. Maybe that long press is still running too. Let me relaunch that. I might having it kill the script after. I just don't recall. This was just an example to him of what I wanted to do. Oh, look at that. Nice. And see it's dying, and I don't know if it's crashing or what, but that's for this purpose. Let's see what happens if we have 3 selected and Control Shift T. No, it's just getting it. Yeah, but
wherever your mouse is last, basically.
Yeah, but still with Excel, you have access to COM, right? For this stuff, so that's easy. But the fact that we could pull it up here, because I'm sure you've tried, right, Tom, that these you can't use the traditional controls.
Yeah, like manually move around.
Yeah. If you were to actually try to, now you can of course still write the AutoHotkey trigger most of stuff. And Patrick wrote back and said, I make the auto for browser, which I don't know what that means.
What do you say? Auto for browser?
Yeah, I make the auto for browser.
Maybe the AutoHotkey, not sure. But also which browser, because that does make a big difference. Like IE is definitely going to be the easiest, but a lot of people are moving away from that because it's just support's been dropped for it.
Yeah, but and I didn't say because this came up. I went back, by the way, and re-edited just because I don't know if I told you we have I didn't talk to you much last week. I was pretty busy, but I walked through that call where Tank was on, and I went and dissected it. So this learning APIs, I hate this stupid interface. I can't point at the damn thing because it messes. Oh, let me see if I can do this though. It's probably gonna. Oh, come on. Oh, I killed my window snipping tool. That's so ironic. Let me reload. Now auto. Oh, and my hotkey. Oh my god, I'm a mess when I don't have AutoHotkey. Okay, reloading everything. Now that's available. And now let me see if I can get this. There we go. Okay, so this is the what to do about AutoHotkey 2 in the forum, right? That was excerpted from our call with Tank, because remember that was the question we actually wanted him to answer when we first came on. But then I pulled out this learning APIs because remember how he went in depth about APIs and traffic and what people can see and this and that. And then there was another one, which I think actually I just published it this morning, this deep dive into COM. That was the other one where he gave us like that background of what it is compared to DLL calls and other sort of crap. The analogy he gave of a DLL call is, if a DLL call is a house, it's that doing the work, but COM is you going and asking someone to do the work. But anyway, so I went and pulled out each one, and then I wrapped them with other resources I had access to. So like for the COM, I actually created, incidentally, on the automator, I created a whole page now on COM. Just I'm like, it is a really great topic. So I created a page with some good resources on different links. This is the one I just published. That's the video of us. And then here's the webinar we did, lots of stuff. And this, I just released this one. This one I'm getting close to. I'm still waiting for Tank to give me the one that he demoed in the video.
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah, I thought
analogy. It's what I've always used, like literally almost the exact same way he explained it. So it's kind of cool to have someone else have the same analogy of how it works. Yeah, that was a really good video, the comms. Because a lot of people, it's like gibberish to them, it's hard to understand for some people.
So Patrick followed up and said he wants to automate it on Chrome. And I just said then I'd use Geek Dude's Chrome class, right? Absolutely. Highly, much more. It's granted, it's a bigger learning curve, right? Because you got some definitely learning to do there. But and actually here on Chrome, I have some, several videos, discussions with Geek Dude. So these were all with Geek Dude. And then did I add it? Oh yeah. This is the one Isaiah's worked through a simple example. So this is some really good learnings here to how to use Chrome. Yeah, I unfortunately I haven't used it in forever. So sorry, what were you gonna say?
I'll say yeah, it's definitely a learning curve to use that Chrome.AHK. Yeah. So I did a video. It's actually the first video I ever did on my channel. It was kind of a different way to do it. And it's using a Chrome extension. You do need a little bit of JavaScript, but it's pretty simple.
Like RetroMonkey or
AHK. And that's how I've honestly always automated. Is it's called a Auto Manager Controller, I think is the name of the extension. And it's really cool because you don't have to like really do much. Actually, let me see if I can. I think I still have it installed. I should.
Yeah, let's see your screen.
Yeah, here we go.
Auto control.
Yeah, let me share.
Yeah, just share. Because the one I used before was like Grease Monkey, which allows you to use IE to render, and then you can automate it. The problem is, of course, again, websites aren't allowing you to render with IE, so it breaks.
Oh yeah. So like on here, what I would do with my AutoHotkey, and honestly, depending on what you're doing, you might not even need AutoHotkeys. But if you need to pull the data and use it somewhere else, then yeah, on AutoHotkeys, you have whatever your hotkey is, and then you're gonna have it say send, and right here, my trigger is F5. So I'm gonna say, so you could just do F5, send F5, or put a little squiggly there. And it's going to trigger this extension, auto control configuration or auto control manager. And then the action here, it's really cool. There's some coding, but it's also kind of easy to just kind of say do stuff. So there's a bunch of different things you can do, like open a menu, close a menu, go to specific bookmarks, clipboard actions and stuff, extract text URL. But you can go to other and say run script, which I have right here. And right here, you're just going to put, and this is going to be JavaScript.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And so what am I doing here?
Well, and incidentally, not to derail you, but that's the way that I first used Geek Dude's class. Was instead of doing all the stuff that he teaches you, I'm like, I can just trigger JavaScript from Chrome. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? It was just easier for me to do it that way. Anyway. Yeah.
And I think this actually looks like that's what this is doing, is grabbing text and then it's calculating distance. So I think this is, yeah. So see, it's grabbing the inner HTML. So this is, and it's getting it by the ID. So if it has an ID,
right? Yeah,
you're going to grab that text, and then right here, I guess it's calculating distance somehow.
Yeah, and
somebody, I forget what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, and just to expand on that, and that's where I have, everything I've done in IE, it's kind of, I feel kind of bad. So I'm like, oh, it's gone. But all the learnings of using the ID versus the get elements by name or by tag name, or even the what's the other one that I really should use more often?
Class.
No, well, class is a great one, right? Or class name, but it's the query where you can combine them all together. I just haven't used it in a long time, but it allows you to use like a dot for class and a you know what, let me just go to my website. I just haven't used it in quite a while. But anyway, the point is that it's you know, you can use other methods, right? Anything that's in there, and once you get used to it, they're easily to borrow.
Oh yeah. And then like some of these you don't even need to code. You know, let's say after I run this script to grab whatever text I want and I want to close, I can just say, you know, close tab. And then like there's no coding involved. It's like kind of, you know, behind the scenes, I just see this little button here that's going to close it. So you can add steps and everything.
Cool.
You can add modifiers to your trigger. It doesn't have to be a single key. It can be, you know, Shift F5.
Nice. The query selector or query selector all is what I was trying to remember, because those allow you to
use that one. Yeah, if you wanted to do like F1, yeah, or you know, yeah, F1. You know, do some. I can't see my keyboard. Do some code here. Then you want it to actually trigger in Chrome. Then you can just say send F5. Do more code here. So, you know, it's going to do whatever you want. Then it gets to the step where you want Chrome to do it. You might have to use Win Activate. I'm not sure. But then,
well, it'd be probably smart to anyway, right? Just to
be safe. Yeah, it doesn't trigger another F5 in another program.
Right.
And that's where that's going to hit, is it's watching for F5 to be pressed. So, and then it's going to run this part of the script. Now in AutoHotkeys, you might want to add a sleep here. You know, depending on how long it takes for Chrome to run its section of the code.
Sorry, let me interrupt you just for a second here. And I don't know if you have to demonstrate it, but do you know, can you tell this to shove something into your clipboard? So let's say you get that value.
You could put like a, clipboard weight. Yeah, depending on what you're doing. Clipboard actions. Copy.
Okay, good. Because then suddenly now you can pop it back into AutoHotkey if you want by using the clipboard, right?
Yep.
So,
I mean, honestly, too, I would just in here in the JavaScript have it go to the clipboard there. Yeah, and then just here instead of a sleep, depending on what you're doing, this might work. You know, just like a clipboard weight here.
Well, first blanket and then use clip weight to wait for it to have a value. Yeah, and that way it's fast. But this is awesome, Tom. Thanks. I wasn't aware of that extension.
Yeah,
and I can definitely see how this is easier. All right, I'll shut up. You can talk.
No, it's fine. Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, obviously, there's the next step of you are learning a little JavaScript, but even then, like if you're used to comms, like I mean, you can pretty much read this and know what it's doing if you know comms and AutoHotkeys. A lot of this, the code looks pretty similar for the most part. So it's not going to be that big of a learning curve for you. Plus, most of the information you want, you can just find on, pretty much any website out there, and just copy and paste and change the ID here to whatever you want.
Yeah, like is it or class name or that query selector all or tag name? I mean, there's a lot of different methods, and there's no right answer. Is the other? I'm sorry. Actually, I would say, and you said it earlier, if there is an ID, that's the right answer because that's guaranteed. It's it's unique.
And hopefully the websites code it well, that there's not multiple IDs with the same name. I have seen that, and I'm like, why would you do that? And even then, you can cycle through and get the correct one. The only thing that can be kind of annoying, honestly, with this line right here is iframes. If your website has multiple levels, it can be kind of a pain sometimes to figure out how to get it to target correctly. But I think this will work pretty much everything.
Cool. We got someone that said they want to join Zoom, so I gave them the link.
I heard a beep.
Oh, that was Tank was replying to me for some other thing I had asked him about.
Oh, and another thing too is if you want different things, you can add as many actions as you want here. It doesn't have to be, just this one script. You can have to be triggered. So that's another cool thing to remember, is that you can really build on this in this one single extension. And I'll link this extension in the description after the video.
Yeah, I Googled it. It came right up. The only thing I'd say is when I went to install it, it also said I needed to install a executable, and it kept my antivirus kept blocking it.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, well, not a surprise, right?
Chrome
When you're,
site, right?
yeah, but it wanted some sort of I forget what it called it.
Just looking for the background. Oh, that's probably how it listens.
The native components.exe is what it wanted to download and then install.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's so it can listen in the background if Chrome's not targeted. That makes sense. And then if you want to share this with people, where is it?
You can export it. And
yeah, you can export your script.
Cool.
Save the file right here, and then restore the file. Your friend will upload it, so you can share your script just like you would with AutoHotkeys with this extension. So they don't have to sit here and like recopy all.
Sure. This. Yeah. That's yeah. Which you and I talk a lot about of like, yeah, just give the damn code.
Yeah. But yeah, I love doing that because like you said, you know, there's definitely a bit of a learning curve when it comes to Chrome.ahk. It's great.
Yeah. It's better than that. It's great that we have it as an option. However, when you've learned on IE and how easy it is to do stuff, it's disheartening to realize like, oh crap, it's so much more complicated, you know, in Chrome. Hopefully someday they make a COM object for Chrome or Edge or whatever, and we're back in the game and make it easy. Oh, Ryan. Hey, cool. Good to see you there, Ryan.
Who answered or asked that question about extracting data? Because I just had the exact same question pretty much asked.
Patrick Nguyen.
Oh, okay. No, this is someone else. They asked, I think, pretty much the exact same question. Hey, guys. First of all, thank you for your stream. I was wondering if AHK is capable of extracting information from a web page. Okay. Yeah. So we pretty much answered that.
Yeah. Well, and then again, I would just take a step back and say, hey, if you still have, if it's your machine and you have IE and it'll still load, that's by far, that would be my go-to, right? If that's not the case, then I love what you just showed, Tom. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is pretty much, the exact same question, I think, at least. So it's just asking how to extract information from a web page. Yeah, there you go. And there's a few other ways out there you can do it,
sure.
You know, especially if you're Win active, you could do, you know, I've seen people do scripts where they can't, like, you know, especially in the workplace can be really hard. You know, a lot of the stuff we talk about, you can't do at work. A lot of people aren't allowed to download Chrome extensions. They're not allowed to go into admin mode, you know, stuff like that. So sometimes it's not the best way, but sometimes you can do like a Control F and, you know, highlight information that way. It's not great, but unfortunately, sometimes that's the only option some people get, depending on how strict your job is. Because that was a big thing. I couldn't use Chrome.ahk when I was working. I was just, I had to go with the extension. That was the only option.
Mm-hmm.
Because even then we had to get AutoHotkeys originally approved to even work on computers.
Sorry, what was that? Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because originally AutoHotkeys we couldn't even use. It blocked every script we did. We had to go through this whole freaking process, but it was worth it in the long run to get it
absolutely
approved.
I was talking to Tank, or where was that on our live call? I don't recall. They start to blur for me. But we were talking about this in general of like, I think it was just him and I, because I'm like, I'd love to do a call on this. He said like at Bank of America, but I forget what, you know, someone said they wanted to change the functionality of one of their internal tools. And the bid came back to do it as something like $50,000. It was some crazy number, right? And he's like, he's at the meeting, right? And then he goes, here, try this. And they run this and it does what they said. And they're like, well, what is like, yeah, I just solved it using AutoHotkey. You know, I just it was in, I think it was using controls and he was disabling the control or whatever, because they didn't like where the button was or something. And the people were having a conniption fit because he's like, no, you have access to all this stuff. And it was really comical how he was describing it, because the IT people were like, but that's not possible. He's like, I already did it. And it's like, if you think that's good, look, what was it? He said, not Visual Basic, but something script is it's already on every Windows computer. And he's like, you can use that approach. He's like, I didn't know hotkey because it's easy for me. But if I use 3 lines instead of 1, we can do it with this other script. Maybe it was Action Script. I forget what he mentioned, but it was really funny.
That's hilarious. 50,000. I would have been like, hey, give me 10,000.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they were, and I don't remember if Tank told me, but maybe they said it'll be like 3 months or something, and he's like, I already did it.
That's me. Yeah, no, I understand that. I've seen stuff get done before, and I'm like, why? You probably paid this company thousands and thousands of dollars, and it took a month to get done. And I was like, this is something I've actually already done before in the past. Like, I just need to manipulate it, and it'll take me 10 minutes to do.
Yeah. It was, for me, my big eye opener where I switched to really view AutoHotkey with respect and go, wow, was I was programmatically looking at a list in a drop-down list from a different program, and I could get what was even selected and whatnot, and this and that. And I'm like, holy cow. And it was so easy. I'm like, wow, that's amazing.
One of the funniest things I ever thought was kind of crazy was, and I'm sure, because it was Google, they were paying Google for this like super complex AI that basically did image searching with OCR and made decisions on, how to categorize it. And it was scoring like, I think around 70% was kind of the average of it getting what was correct.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wrote a script that's like maybe 30 lines long, and it was scoring a 98% correct rate, because it was just doing, it would highlight the first 5 pages of a document and then be like, if contains this word, categorize it this way. And it was scoring 98%. I'm like, that was free. It was just, I don't know, it was funny.
Yeah, and that's where with APIs, because people say like, oh, well, AutoHotkey doesn't have built-in like automation anywhere. You can look at a PDF and automatically detect where this and that. And like, but you can do that with APIs, and with AutoHotkey, you have access to that easily. So you just, you need to write a little code, but.
And all you're grabbing is the text and then just doing some if statements. And it was like, that's the simplest AI there is.
I was in a networking meeting the other day, and this guy wanted to do a 101. So I jumped into his Zoom meeting and we're chatting. And he's like, so Joe, tell me what you do. And I was telling him a little bit, and he goes, oh. And then I showed him the OCR, of that window snipping tool. And he goes, oh, you mean like, how would I get this text for this page? And literally I went like this, and I'm like, there it is. And he's like, I was just going to retype that entire page. And you did it, now granted there's a couple typos to fix, right? But he's like, oh, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's easy. We could just go look at our community, our chat, questions. And
well, I had a question real quick for you.
So,
this is me submitting this question, and we kind of talked about
get a line. Yeah, no.
I get asked a lot sometimes in my comments where people are like, hey, you're coding in AutoHotkeys. Why are you using Notepad++ versus an IDE that's specifically designed for AutoHotkeys? I can't remember the most popular ones, like SciTE or something.
Studio SciTE is probably, SciTE is the most popular. You're right.
Okay. And then there's a few other ones out there, but my answer is always just, well, I code in other languages, so I just kind of like it as a one-stop shop. But I know you use those sometimes too. What are the benefits to that? Like, why do you why do you use the one you use?
Sure.
Why does it work better with AutoHotkeys versus Notepad++?
Yeah, and it's Studio is the one I use day in, day out, and absolutely love it. And it's written in AutoHotkey, which is amazing. And it's also part of it is because it's written by Matriath, who, is a friend and works for me. So anytime there's something I'm like, hey, why don't we do this? And he does it so fast, right? But that's not really the main thing why I use it. Why I use it, because for years I used SciTE for AutoHotkey and things. And I still, just like you said, I still have it installed. I still use it daily, just not for AutoHotkey, right? I use it as an editor for other programming languages or just big text files. It can handle really big files. It does a lot of stuff. I have over 80 languages that it can, the IntelliSense for. It's great. Studio is written particularly for AutoHotkey, and everything. The very first call I had with Maestro, was funny because this is like 7 years ago, I'm thinking at least. He had, I don't remember how it started. He wrote me something like, hey, I wrote this editor. Why don't we get in the call and I'll show you? And I'm like, whatever, dude. Like I didn't know him, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm very happy with mine. And then like a year or two later, somehow, again, I downloaded it and he said something. And so I'm like, okay, let's get on a call. And I hammered him. I'm like, he was showing me some stuff. Okay, I said, here's what I do in SciTE. How do I do this? And he goes, well, you do it this way. How do I do this? You do it this way. How do I do this? You do it this way. And then I'm like, what about this? Oh, I don't have that. Give me a minute. And within 30 seconds or like 5 minutes, he would add that functionality, right? And then we switched over to, well, what does Studio do that SciTE doesn't? And there's some really great functionality. One is, and let me, it's better to demo this, right? Let me show you the one that I absolutely, there's several, and of course I'm doing this live, right? Because like you said, we didn't discuss it, but let me pull up Studio.
It's funny, I do AutoHotkeys and I've never tried it. I just,
like
you're saying, I've been happy with Notepad++, so I just never cared to try it, but I figured I should at some point.
And it has a learning curve. So this is what I tell everyone also, like, you got to give it, a few days to get used to it, because it's, you don't have these pretty, it's one of the, I have a video on how to create toolbars, right? Because Maestro doesn't like toolbars. So he doesn't have toolbars in it. But you can make them. He just doesn't have them by default. And it's one of the only things I'd say I think he's, quote unquote, doing wrong is he should have a default set that people can click a button and display, or have them on and can turn off. But anyway, whatever. So here's my biggest thing I love is, like, let's say we're in the message box function, right? When I hit comma, see how it's tracking where I am, the parameters. And even if you create your own function, it will keep track of where you are within that function. And some of these, like the message box or regular expression stuff, they have a lot of parameters, and it's so easy to get confused at where you are. And that's one of my absolute favorite things.
No, that's awesome. That right there is pretty much a seller.
The other big one is, let's say I'm in a tool like here, and here's a function. I can hit Alt F1, and it'll jump to that function if it's in another file or whatever, right? So I don't have to go find it, and then I can hit Alt Left and go right back to where I was. Or if I wanted to break this out into my own function, now I don't remember the hotkey for this because I don't do it that often, but I could highlight it like this and hit a hotkey, maybe it's Control-Shift-N. Yeah, and it will offer up the name of the file as the new thing. And if I was to hit save, it would it would take that function, put it in its own file, and then come back here and write an include, right, for it. Which is when you're trying to develop, right, and keep things compartmentalized, it's great. But this is because see, if it didn't have this next functionality, then I would like that, but it wouldn't be that important. When you have a bunch of stuff that has includes, like in here, I have this include here. I can hit Alt M as your friend in Studio, right? So this will bring up the search, and it's a fuzzy matching, really powerful search. So I'm going to say publish. When I hit publish, it goes and gets every include that's needed and pulls it all into your clipboard. So it brings everything together. And so this way I could just go I could go to a forum or wherever and paste it. And now it has everything I need. I don't have to worry about having includes. It brings everything in there for me together. And that's really, really helpful. Here's another one that it takes a little getting used to, but I love, and you can do this in SciTE, but like it'll auto, when I put in like a double quote or the brackets, or anything, it will automatically put the opposite, the ending part of it, which is really helpful. The debugging functionality is it's at times a little buggy, but it's great. It's there. You can easily, like here, control, like let's say I wanted to have a different file here. I can say split control, and I'm going to put it on the right, and I'm going to put a new scintilla window. Now I have another one. I can put them side by side, right? So I love that functionality. Oh, I'm saying close the file. Crap. Okay. Remove control. There we go. So down here, I have my active projects. Now this is what he didn't have available when I first started using it. Is in SciTE, which I had written on my own. Is so I'm going to run this and see it puts it down here. So if I have a lot of text, it's awesome. I can shove text into this window and review what's there, right? So, and I can actually, this is a custom thing where I can have it, if I don't want it to clear it, this way it'll keep adding it. The one has the line break. If I didn't have the sleep, it would be instant, which that confuses you if you don't know if it ran or not. And the auto hide, I'm not going to turn it on, but it would actually, after it displays it, it would hide this window, which he liked that. He added it. I don't ever use it, but yeah, I like that.
This is what really drew me to this, is because I see you use this, and I've always thought it's so cool to see the result right there, especially when you're doing like, trying to get information from a website.
Right.
You don't
exactly.
have to run the script with a message box. You can get the result, which is what really sold me on this when I saw you use it.
Yeah. The other one, this is just, I have this resizable GUI. So this is in my library. So if I wanted to go this route, it dumps it in. So this could have quite a bit of text in here as well, and I can give you that function or whatever, right? But
what are you pushing to run that? What to automatically run the code?
That's in my default up here in this file. I have a hotkey. I have a hotkey to kill the script, to reload the script, to edit the script, plus the single instance force. I have a lot of settings in here, and this way. Oh, which actually it's another thing is if I go in here and say new file, so it actually uses the first initials. So NFT, really brings up this. This, if I change this every time I create a new file, this is what it'll start with. So it's built into Studio versus AutoHotkey and SciTE and stuff puts it as a file on your computer and you have to go find it, which it's not hard to find. But I like having it right here. It's just very
awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have to try this now.
Yeah, and there's 8 million other. I'd say it's long, but if you have time to have it on the background, that call that I was mentioning, it's like a 2-hour call if I'm right. It's on my YouTube channel, and it's like he goes over everything on how to do it. But what I would say is, it's so funny how Tom, you're going to laugh at this because I'm sure you know people that like this. He doesn't create a lot of videos because he is like a perfectionist, right? And he wants everything so perfect. So he didn't have many tutorials because, it had to be like perfect. It would take him, 5 hours to make a 30-second video. You know what I mean? Like it has to be perfect. I went in one weekend and created 30 tutorials, and just cranked them out. I'm like, if it doesn't perfect it, I just don't care. It's not worth it. But yeah, this is I have a lot of tutorials. So if you do get stuck on something, this page has a lot of great stuff of how to do it. But
it's funny, I just Googled AHK Studio and this is the page that came up
Right.
first.
Yeah. But somewhere this was actually, this was a webinar we did. It was actually, I think, our first real webinar he showed us, which was also, but this super deep dive, the 2-hour long, this is the one where this is really his and my first call together. And it was a lot of fun, but it gets in the weeds, right? I wouldn't say start there, but if you really want to see what it has, it's or just scan lists. It's a great cheat sheet of, they have these edit replacements, which allow you to type a couple letters and have it pop up, including like a variable that you use. So it shoves it into your, thing. You can change all the hotkeys. Obviously, it's very easy to do that. You can create a toolbar. That new file template. Anyway, you get the idea, right? That it's
Yeah, no, I've been wanting to do a video just kind of explaining like how you just did. So
yeah.
I just downloaded it actually.
This multi-line typing also, now SciTE does it, and I think Notepad does it. So no, Notepad does it better than SciTE as well, if I remember right. I can click like here, here, and here, and start typing, and it'll go across every line. In SciTE, I can do straight up and down. I can do that, but I can't have them at different spots. And I'm pretty sure.
Do that again.
Well, here I just click where I want it, right, wherever I want it, and it'll start typing.
But how are you clicking in multiple places?
I didn't realize it, but I'm actually just holding down control while I do it.
Oh, control. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that one comes in extremely handy, depending on what you're doing, right? It's, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, if
I've always wondered like what's going on here. I definitely like that where it shows you the syntax step by step, and then I like that little window at the bottom. That's really cool. That's helpful.
Yeah, it's super helpful. Yeah,
web scraping or comms or stuff.
Yeah. If I want to, let's say, edit a hotkey, so I can edit my hotkeys, and here you can go across. You could just do a search for, let's say, replace, and it'll show you, here are the hotkeys for that. You can, again, it's like anything you want to do, you can do it. Pretty much. It's quite extensive.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm definitely gonna be playing with this this weekend and stuff. This is gonna be fun. What you said someone was joining our call, right?
Well, he wrote back and said he's having technical issues and that he'll be here next week. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. And like I said earlier in the video, if you have questions, we have that survey in the description once this goes live, or well, we're live now, but uploads. So feel free to use that survey to ask questions so we can prep.
Right. Yeah, it definitely helps.
Some questions can be pretty big, and it's like we could spend half an hour getting it ready just to explain it. So it helps us out.
Now let's see if there's any. I mean, you want to take a look at your channel and see if there's any comment, questions that you hadn't actually answered yet.
Yeah. Hold on. I actually got someone typing. It looks like he says this is my code. I guess he's gonna send it. Cool. If you're watching live, hopefully put it on Pastebin if it's really long and link it.
Yeah, good idea.
Pastebin, because in the chat, I'm not sure how that's gonna look. That might be a little much. But yeah, Pastebin will keep the formatting at least quick and easy. Let me jump to my channel. I think that really the only questions I've never answered are the ones that people are just demanding me do something, or like I already have a video, because that happens a lot. My newest video will get a comment, how do I do this? And I'm like, I'm not, if you're going to be lazy, I'm going to be lazy too, because clearly you saw my first video, my newest video, you asked the question there, and you obviously didn't take the 1 minute just to search my channel to find what you wanted. So I don't understand why people can't. It's like the amount of time it took you to write that comment, you probably could have found the video. That always baffles me.
I'm very similar to you in that. The one caveat I'll add to it, which is what, like the other day, someone wrote me, and I'm trying to remember the exact phrasing because it's important. It makes the point. They said something like, how is it possible to, I think they said like uncompile. I can't remember how they phrased it, but I'm like, oh yeah, typically I'd say like decompile, right? So, but my point is, they didn't clearly know exactly how to search for what it was. Maybe they even tried it, but they looked for a word that wasn't really the right keyword. And I'm like, I'm happy to help people with something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When it's obvious that like, hey,
I tried, but I couldn't figure out how to, say it. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But if someone's like on my newest video has nothing to do with it, they'd be like, how do I send?
Right.
I'm like,
yeah.
What? I think he's still typing. Let me check. Kind of jumping around between some windows.
I had a couple other people join. They said hi. That's awesome. Okay, someone just asked if we can. We'll handle yours first. But I had a question on set timer, which I don't know if you want to just keep sharing your screen, and we'll cover that one as well because it's pretty easy.
No, you can go ahead. This guy's still. I'm still trying to figure out what he wants.
Okay.
Yeah, you can share your screen, so cool. I can figure this one out. Because this one's perfect, I guess, for me because it's GUIs.
Set timer. Label blah blah.
What was the question?
Just they want to explain set timers.
Set timers are great. I use them a lot.
Amen. Yeah. So this is my set timer, right? And it's going to go actually. Let's say every second, which is 1,000, right? And then we're going to come out here and create a blah sub or label and a return. And here I'm going to do a tooltip. And actually, let's do this. Let's say counter equals.
Just do plus plus.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, do I need to set it to 0? That's why I guess I can set it up above anyway.
It'll start at 1 automatically.
Okay, that's the one I'm like. Sometimes you have to set that at first.
At least I'm pretty sure. I don't think I've
changed it. Right.
0.
Counter. I don't care about the rest. So there we go. Let's see if this will work. So hit my hotkey and run it. Now, notice here that count is incrementing and it's going up every second. And if we change this to 3, it'd be every 3 seconds it updates, right? But notice I have this message box here. This is one of those things you can kind of fake multi-threading with AutoHotkey.
Yeah.
Most people go, hey, wait a minute. When the second this message box is here, your script stops. And technically it does, but with a set timer, it switches the focus back and forth. And it goes, hey, go every second, because I said this to 1,000, so 1,000 milliseconds. It'll jump down and do this. Now, excuse me. If I remember right, if you set this to, is it a minus or a 0? That it'll say just do it once. So it'll do it once, and that's all. Let's say minus
that. I've always just used the off function.
Oh, and this is where Studio, like I said, it'll run sort of with that. I didn't save it as a file, right? But sometimes.
I didn't even know you could do that if it works. I've always just used like set timer blah off when I need it to. And you can put like an if statement, if counter equals 30, then turn off.
Sure. And see, it goes 1, 2. Oh, nope. So the 1, it's not 1. Maybe it's -1.
Well, could you put a number there on how many times you want it to run?
No, but it's one of the ways it will jump down to it just once. And
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. The other thing you can do is well, never mind. That's a function thing, not a set timer thing. But yeah, let me see. Let's just go to the help and see if it pops up. Did your guy finish?
He just said something. I'm trying to figure out what he means by this. Says the problem is I create a dynamic GUI checkbox with count because I don't know how to set a unique function for every GUI checkbox created. I think he's trying to figure out how, if you check something, do this function, but if I check this, do that function. I think.
Cool. So on this one, so
eventually.
Okay.
I can just double check.
It's the period, if the period's negative, so I should have said -1,000, not 1. And that will say, wait a second, and then run it once, right? But it does it just once, is what that's saying. So it's a way to get it to run once.
Didn't know you could do that. That's cool. See, even
Yeah,
people who do a bunch of videos learn something new all the time.
yeah, and vice versa for me, because it, you know, I always say I'm definitely not a guru when it comes to programming. I mean, I know what can be automated with AutoHotkey and often the right approach, but the actual code, yeah, isn't. Or is it set type? It's a typo loop.
Yeah.
So they say is a what's the difference between a loop with an interval and a set timer? Well, the set timer again gets the sort of around auto threading. What the hell am I saying?
Multi-threading.
Thank you, Jesus. But it does more in that it, because you can have several set timers running as well, right? And it runs at different intervals.
Get more control.
Yeah.
You don't have to add like sleeps or anything.
Well,
same.
Yeah. And
and with that, you also need like some sort of exit. It really depends. Most people, I mean, really, it doesn't matter depending on what you're doing, I guess. But most people just always seem to like set timers better. That's the way they always.
Well, again, I mean,
you can do multiple stuff.
I think also it's, it depends on the goal, right? If your goal is to have something run regardless of what else is going on with my script, that set timers are amazing. But sometimes you don't want something else to happen. If that message box comes up and you want it to stop, then you don't want to use a set timer, right? Like, because you'd be suddenly going, I have no control over that.
Yeah, it really depends. Yeah, I like set timers. I love them, especially because, like you're saying, you can have multiples pretty much running at the same time to do a bunch of different things.
Big Feet Entertainment, what a great name, asked what my favorite DLL calls are. Yeah, I don't quote unquote have any favorites. I don't honestly use them very often.
Yeah.
Now they'll be in a lot of scripts I use, but I don't write them myself. Sorry, Tom, what were you saying?
I'll say I don't use them very often unless I need to. I mean, so far, like I'm writing a script right now that changes my wallpaper to match the weather outside. So I'm using a DLL call for that to change the wallpaper. But this is probably the most I've ever used them in a single script before. Usually I'm using it maybe once in a script. This one I'm using it like 20 times.
And that was one of the interesting things. I think it was in that video. Well, it was from the call with me and you and Tank, where he was talking about the differences between DLL calls and COM. And he said, DLL calls will often get flagged as a virus, when you're sharing it with other people, versus COM doesn't. Now, Tank also said COM, generally speaking, is more reliable and less likely to crash your script than a DLL call, which I found fascinating. I'd never heard that.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. I had another question come up. Still waiting for the other guy's code because I'm not 100% sure what he's asking. Power Automate versus AutoHotkeys.
Yeah, Power Automate. It's a tool from Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
It's
I think it's going to be included in all Windows versions too coming up.
It already is, yeah.
Already, yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, Windows 10 and up, I think, yeah. And there's the steps creator, steps recorder, maybe. If you Google like Windows steps recorder, I think that's what it's called. It allows you to be able to capture a lot of the stuff, but it actually will even give you like the UI paths to a lot of the things you're connecting to, which is really cool. And that's where the Power Automate could also be leveraging that.
Yeah, I mean, I did a video on Power Automate, and I think I do kind of mention in there why, it's good and beneficial compared to AutoHotkeys and vice versa. I mean, with AutoHotkeys, you get more freedom. There's more you can do. Where Power Automate, it's definitely easier, especially the oh man, what was it? I think in Chrome it's pretty cool to use with because you can grab like elements automatically. I can't remember. There's a few different programs that are pretty similar. There's Power Automate and Power Toys. I'm trying to remember which one. I think it was Power Automate to do that. the AI builder or something.
Yeah, no, Power Toys is just a group of, you know, tools that they've made, like a fancy calculator or this or that, right? It's
Yeah, that's
definitely
right.
good. Yeah.
I haven't used that in a while, so I can't remember. But I mean, AutoHotkey is you got more flexibility. You're more in control of what you can do. There's more commands out there. But you know, if Power Automate can do it, you know, it's easier because you're just kind of doing a bunch of like click and drags to get it to work. I think also, like I said, this has been a while since I've used it, but also I think one of the things that was really annoying about Power Automate is the hotkey functionality. You have to have that window active in order to use the, I think it was like the F5 is the hotkey to run whatever you wanted to do. Where AutoHotkey, you can use the hotkey, you know, no matter where you're at, pretty much.
Yeah, it's just a global.
And I think
But
that
I mean,
was,
it depends on how you write it. Yeah.
and I think that was
So
like one of the worst things about it was just not being able to, like having to have the program active to do what I wanted. That was really
right,
frustrating.
but I don't think you actually have to. I mean, you're describing a bit more about the interface that you use with it, not the actual coding language. And I found a link on how to extract the actual syntax and get away from that interface, which I don't really care for either.
Yeah.
And personally, I'm like, I think AutoHotkey is much simpler than Power Automate, because it gets, you know, Power Automate's giving you typically like a GUI to kind of do stuff with, but oh my god, it's so much slower too to go through some of that stuff, and you
Yeah.
still have to know how to program, really. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. You definitely have to understand like the flow of how it's supposed to work for sure. He was asking about, yeah, and I agree with this, you know, browser automation on Power Automate's, you know, easier and stuff. I mean, when it comes to Chrome, yeah, if you're probably just jumping in now, but at the beginning of this video or like the middle, we talked about how to do auto hotkeys with Chrome using a Chrome extension. That's pretty easy to do also, and it's going to give you more flexibility than Power Automate's going to do. But yeah, you got to learn a little bit of JavaScript. But yeah, definitely check that out once this goes up. It's really cool and pretty easy to figure out anyway. It's as easy to figure out as probably Power Automate is.
Yeah. The other thing, just to clarify, the guy that asked about the whole set timer said, "Oh, so you can do multi-threading." You know, technically, it's not multi-threading,
No.
right? But it does mimic. It gets pretty darn close to it. Now with AutoHotkey H, you can do true multi-threading, and it's pretty awesome. There's a video we did with Hotkey, who's the author of AutoHotkey H, and he demonstrates how even when there's a message box tied up on something or whatever, he's doing other stuff directly, and it's true multi-threading, which is pretty cool. I see someone also wrote, can image search be triggered by another image search? Well, technically, you just write a loop in a program, right, with logic. My goal is for the first image search to identify a monster element in the game and then send a key and then image search for the appropriate. Yeah, you just use logic. What necklace? Maybe that was a mistype. Necklace for that. I don't know what that means. Element and equipment if it's there. Otherwise, just return to the beginning. Oh, I think someone was trying to. No, that's the same person. Necklace for that element. I think image search is good in theory for games, but if you ever change the resolution, window size, etc., yeah, it's again image search. Thanks, Big Feet Entertainment. Image search is very problematic in dealing with automation stuff. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's better than nothing, right? But yeah, when you're looking for images, you're asking for a headache.
Yeah, image search, even pixel search can be a pain. And if you
Now, Jackie,
in a game, I mean, image search in a game is like next to impossible because it's that would be like me going outside, taking a picture of a tree, and then say, I want to get the exact same picture again. That's very unlikely to happen, you know, because the leaves move and you know all that stuff. So it's kind of hard to do that in a game where you know the environment's changing, you know, a whole bunch of different stuff, different backgrounds on what you're trying to target. For that, you're better
Yeah.
off doing a pixel search, which even then, like, video games have tons of color. That pixel
Well,
search probably is gonna false positive more than it is be
yeah,
correct.
and we actually did a webinar where Jackie Stuck demonstrated some coding he had written that allows you to take an image, shrink it down, and then allow for a lot of color flexibility around it, this and that. And it's really fast. I mean, it was a really good webinar talking about it. So if you're doing that kind of stuff, his function doing it might be far better. And I think if you look for like finding images or image search and AutoHotkey webinar, we covered. He rewrote an entire thing on it. But still, to Tom's point, it's problematic. I know because someone I know has a bot, and the bot works, looking for stuff. But the company keeps updating every couple of weeks. They update the graphics and change the background slightly, whatever, and he has to go through and refresh all of his pictures because they changed them.
That's interesting. That's smart on their part. That's funny. Yeah, you're better off with pixel search, but yeah, even then, you're probably gonna get more, especially if it's like a really, environmental driven game, like World of Warcraft or something. Like, don't even bother.
Yeah, someone said they were using the Find Text by Fayu as it's funny because he calls it Find Text, but it really is looking for pixels, in a group of pixels. And it's cool, and especially the newer version's fast, but it finds it, but then everything you have to program around after you find it, what are you going to do about it, this and that, which is fine if that's what you want, but that's why we wrote automate my task to negate some of that, and so you can move your mouse there and click things easily, and if it happens to detect that whatever's behind the image is a control, it'll use control clicks and stuff instead of just the image stuff, which is much, much more reliable. But it's not really for gaming, right? I wouldn't use it for gaming stuff.
Yep. Gaming can be tricky.
Tom, have you seen Automate My Task?
What's that?
Have you seen my tool, Automate My Task?
I think so.
Well, let me share it just real quickly, just in case, because it's a pretty amazing tool.
First started.
So this is the GUI you use, right? And then I would say, let's say I wanted to click here, right? I'm going to hit F1 to start Oops, sorry. Actually, Tom, to your thing earlier, you have to activate this first. Now hit F1. Okay. And now say, I'm kind of seeing where I want. Oh, okay. I'm going to look for that. Hit escape again. Move away. And now I'm going to display matches. And it's going to search. Now, sometimes with Chrome, I shouldn't have done it with Chrome and I never understood why, but sometimes with Chrome, it has a hard time. Oh, there it goes. And I found it. And let's say I want to move. So I'm going to move my mouse. I'm going to test it. Oh, look, it moved my mouse there. And then I can hit export down here. And this is the code. Now it's on my clipboard, but this is the code you'd use to go do that, right? Or if, let's say I wanted to type here. So I'm going to delete that step. And I'm going to, this time I'm going to send text. So I'm going to hit F2 to capture. And I'm going to look for this and move away. And now I need to set where I want the text to actually be, which is still going to be about here. Sometimes it's not, right? So you want to have that flexibility. Display matches. Oh, and see, it didn't find it for some reason. Still didn't find it. Yeah, and I don't know. I've never understood with Chrome if something is changing in the picture, it just doesn't make sense to me. But for some reason, but sometimes, you know what? Also, although I don't think the GUI changed. Let's get rid of this too. Now it's going to search everywhere, but let's just see if it. Yeah, interesting. It's not finding it. Huh. And like I said, I've never. Oh, you know what? Why is that little thing here? I think I can actually come in and edit this thing. I thought we could. Anyway, let me recapture it. I don't know what that seemed like. They had some stuff beneath it there that wasn't there.
Does it export the picture?
No, it exports the a digitized, like a base 64 kind of, thing of it.
Okay, yeah, this is what I was wondering how it's.
There we go. So now we found it. I'm going to send hello world, and now let's test. So see, I just automated sending text there, right? And then I could add another step and automate hitting the enter button or something, right? But again, I wouldn't use, definitely not for gaming, but for doing basic stuff that like, hey, because sometimes I'm doing something not in a browser and I'm trying to automate it and it sucks. And I'm like, you know what, screw it. This is going to be a short-term thing. I'm just going to use this tool to give me what I need. Hit export. Here's my code. So see, let me paste it. Now, granted, I have that automate my test function in my library. Hold on a second. There we go. I'll put it, speaking of SciTE, I'll paste it in SciTE and language back to AutoHotkey. So I should have used that functionality I have that breaks it across. Let me just hit the button. Let me show you. So if I click this and hit export, it breaks it across lines instead, which especially for this purpose is better. See these bits? This is that picture.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't have to have files, right? So it's easy to share across. But yeah, it's a cool tool that I use for quick stuff. I don't use it for automating, or if I'm stuck on, so like someone the other day, I was trying to automate Skype and I wanted to automate sending a picture, but clicking the buttons in it, there was, I think I could have used the UI automation approach, but controls didn't work. And I'm like, you know what, this will work fine.
And you made this?
I paid Maestria to create it for me. Yeah.
What's it called again?
Automate my task.
Okay. Do you have a link to it that you can share? I'll share it on mine.
Yeah, right there.
They had some people saying it's cool.
Yeah, it's I'll put it in the chat too. It's like I said, it's a it's a quick tool that can help you, negate. Like I said, I loved find text. However, it just finds the text, but then you can't, you got to get you have the coordinates, but you got to access an object and which one, and then tell it to send a mouse cassette. And so this, like I said, this will do this. But if the thing you're doing, like let's say we had a calculator, that's a lot better when it actually starts. There it goes. Oh, that's funny. That didn't even. How in the world did that happen?
I had another question come up too.
Okay. I'll finish up on this. So if we were doing something in here with find text, automate my task, and I'm going to delete steps. If in this image thing, let's say this was a control behind it. So I'm going to hit F, highlight this, F1, come over here. Let's say I had the 7 and move away. Okay, display matches. Great, it found it. But if this 7 is a control, it will send a control click there. And the really beautiful thing about that is it doesn't interfere with your keyboard and mouse. It doesn't even have to be visible most of the time, right? So it's, if that doesn't work, then you turn on this actual click. So I'm going to turn it off and hit test. So it didn't look like that actually didn't work. But if I turn on the actual click, then it sends it, right? So again, if there is a control behind it, it's just phenomenal. This is one of the things that I said to Maestri, like, hey, let's build it where if there is a control there, let's leverage that and use the control instead of the image. So anyway, what was your question that came up?
Yeah, so I had done a video. I'm gonna let me find the code real quick so I can just copy and paste that easily. Oh man, this is the point where it's harder to remember what videos are called. What did I call it? I think it was this one, auto update a script, but from a website. Yeah, here we go. Let's see if this is the right code. Yep, okay. Yeah, I'll share my desktop here in a second. Share screen. So basically the question was, so I did a video where I talk about if you have a shared hard drive at your company, how can you leverage that to kind of auto update everybody's script across multiple computers?
Sure. Yeah.
So what I had done here is I have a timer that goes off and does an update check. And here, what it was doing is reading an INI file from that hard drive and basically saying like, hey, if the numbers match, version now, which you put in your script as a variable, equals current that it pulled from that INI file on the hard drive, you are still current. But if they don't match, basically run the new version and then exit out of this version. So basically he wants the exact same thing, but how to do it from a website. So, I mean, really depending on what your browser you're using, you could use comms, but if you got a page that's very simple, that's not being changed a lot, you could just use like, what is it? URL download to variable.
Yeah.
So I would do that. So basically all you would change here is this INI right to a URL download. How does that go? Download to variable?
Well, if you were using Studio, you'd know because it would offer it.
That's why I'm saying I'm going to play with that.
Yeah. The other thing, ironically, it's kind of funny we're talking about it, right? Because the same author, Maestria, the guy that wrote Studio, he wrote URL download to var. So you don't even download a file, right? Which is it does a COM object, a WinHTTP request, and gets the text, but yeah.
Oh yeah, the AutoHotkey website's still down. That's right. Yeah, you're just gonna do your URL download to variable, and then whatever the site is, and then none of the other code will change. Everything will stay the same.
It's URL download to file is the built-in AutoHotkey stuff.
Yeah.
But if you go to the URL download to file page, you'll see the URL download to variable function that it just saves you from actually saving it as a file.
Yeah, it's so much better. I mean, if you want to save it as a file, you can, but then you're going to have to add like, a file read and stuff, and that's just adding more code.
Right.
Well, so wait, URL download to variable, and then, yeah, you would just do like if variable contains. So you, instead of equals, you would just change this to like a, if it contains or whatever, however you want to do it.
Yeah. And to be careful, make sure like if it's 1.2 and then later there's a 1.25, well, if you're still searching for 1.2, that'll match in both, right? So yeah, it gets tricky when you're dealing with the dots. Isaias and I worked through this with our tools because we had to go checking to see if there's a new version, and we had to write a really long regular expression to parse them by decimals. It was ridiculous, but yeah.
Yeah. Basically, all you're doing, really, most part, is just changing the what was this? The INI read to a URL download to variable or file if you want, and just change your if to match however it's going to work. So yeah, you could have like a page on like SharePoint or wherever your website's hosted at work, and just have literally a page that's very simple that just says like current version equals, and like literally that's the only text on the page. That's probably going to be the best way to go. Oh wait, he said he shared his code, but I can't find it.
Did he share a link?
Can you share a link if you're not the host? I would think you would be able to.
You know what? It may actually block, because like mine will block. I have to go okay it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was using Pastebin, I think, at least. But maybe it's blocked. Let's see here. Yep. Yeah, it probably does get flagged as spam.
Yeah, you could add a space in the name, and then we can piecemeal it together.
That's true. Just break the link with like a space or two. I can tell where it is in the middle. Maybe that'll work. But yeah, YouTube probably, so people can't like try to like come on and like advertise like
right.
dirty websites.
Right. I don't know how often you get them. I get them somewhat
All the
regularly.
time. Every new video I upload, I get someone commenting on the link.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm
That's
not around, they
hey.
usually disappear on their own because the account gets shut down pretty quickly.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, it's so annoying.
I love the ones. I really like what you did here, but you should check this out. And it's like, oh
Yeah,
my god, they didn't even
yeah. They're
bother.
they're just searching
Right.
the newest uploaded videos and commenting on every single one.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got so many comments coming in. I'm trying to keep up here.
Yeah.
Hard to have two conversations at the same time. One where you're talking or listening, and one where you're reading. Yeah, so Slatter Night. That's what I was saying. It's just a page that has nothing on it but the version number is going to be your best way to go, because then you can just use a simple if.
Well,
Probably won't have to use a regex or anything like that.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's even the example they give in the URL download to var
Oh, is it?
is the actual.
I would check, but the website's down.
It loads for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's server based.
Um,
And some people, someone on Reddit had asked the question. Some people were like, "Yeah, it works fine," and other people were like, "Yeah, I can't get on it for the last week." That's weird.
yeah, it's slow often. It'll load, or sometimes it'll take like 20 seconds to resolve. You just got to be patient. But Tank's been trying. It's just, it's it's not just AutoHotkey, right? It's a lot of huge companies that are having this issue.
I'm just gonna have him email me because yeah, I guess. Well, that's good to know for future. Only you and me can share links.
Yeah,
So
it is good to know.
because I'm not 100% sure what he's asking. What is cool? Yeah, this is how I do it.
Yeah, and someone had they were asking the mind of like what the Vernal was, blah blah blah. I'm like, but right, it's just an arbitrary name. And in your file on the internet, yeah, you wouldn't have that. You would just have the actual value, and make it simple. Or you could, and that would make granted you're going to write a right expression, but it makes it easier to say exactly this.
Yeah, way easier. I've never done it with a website, but it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, I've done web scraping, but more complex. I think just a version number would be so easy.
Well, again,
like
it is until you have the 1.2 and 1.23 and one, you need to parse it, do a stir split in a what's it called, the loops that call them recursive loop, to break it on the decimals to compare each thing, because AutoHotkey will see the first. They'll see like a one. If you get rid of the decimals, it's just then it's really messed up. So anyway, it's more problematic than you might think. But if you're incrementing in big numbers, 1 to 2 to 3, then it's super easy, right?
Let's see. Here we go. Let me copy over that code and take a look at it real quick. Sorry, I'm just going through his code here, trying to figure out exactly what's going on.
Want to share your screen or?
Yeah. Let me reread his question.
Sure.
I'm not really sure. Where did it go? Lots of chit chat today. It's great, guys.
Yeah, awesome. I'm gonna have to get going here in a bit. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard with our two different channels going on. It's you don't know that I'm getting a bunch or vice versa.
Yeah. So I think he just wants, let me get back to the chat in case he says something. Okay, the question is how to pass function, a variable count in function. I'm trying to think what it means. So you got 3 checkboxes here. and you want each one. Okay, so why, I'm not sure why the variables are here. Where are those coming from?
Well, it shouldn't be the same one, right?
Yeah, and I don't see it anywhere else in the code. Let me double check. Oh, it's counting here. So every time your GUI is opened, well, we're getting an error already. Set active infinity loop. This one I might have to look into a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little more complex. I'm with you.
Yeah, some of this stuff I'm not, because I can't read the comments because they're, I'll need to translate them real quick.
Right.
So I can understand better. But yeah, I'm not sure why. This is interesting. I've never seen someone do this where they put a count in for their go. I've always just done, like, if I'm going to do it, it's just 1, 2, 3. So that's interesting. And then you got your GUI on a loop. Windows like diff. Okay.
And I wonder if that's part of the thing is in reality, should he have only one of those and the loop be, using a index in there to create the different checkboxes? I don't know if he's trying to use the loop to create the different checkboxes, right? If so, obviously it's not going to work the way it's written, but maybe that's not what he was doing.
Line 29. I don't recognize. Oh, this is a set active affinity loop. Where's that coming from? Yeah, I'll do a one-on-one with him, and then maybe we can talk about it in the next one, because I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. I've never seen someone do it like this before. That's interesting.
Well, and yeah, see, this is where Maestrith does stuff like that all the time, and that's why I was telling you earlier, like I often start fading out because I'm like, okay, but yeah, it's I would wonder because it's the same value, right? And if it's the same value, or that's the variable, so they're going to go to the same place.
But then the checkbox is constantly adding, it's basically constantly adding more handlers. And so eventually you would have to code for every single handler out there, which would be thousands and thousands.
And that was why I thought lines 8, 9, and 10 really might just need to be one line, and that should have been the loop there. If he's trying to use a loop to add multiple things,
the way for it to end, depending on how many functions you're going to have. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. So yeah, because there's not much point in having 3 different ones every single time. Yeah. I'll try to play around with this and see exactly what he's doing. I'll email him back. Cool. Yeah, because that one's weird. Definitely don't get it. Plus, it's incomplete code, I think. Is there an includes in here somewhere? No. So yeah, see, here's what I'm saying. Like right here, with something like that looping constantly like that, you got the check win buckle selected 1. You would literally need to just duplicate this like thousands of times with the way it's being done. You know what I mean? Because every time it loops, you're just creating a new handler. But then you're going to get an error saying like, oh, like once it gets to 5, you're going to get an error saying like handler doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, like I said, yeah,
this just seems like a endless loop that will, you can make it auto create every handler, but then it's like, if they're all the same, what's the point? Yeah, I'll play around with this. So I'll talk to you one-on-one and see exactly what's going on here.
Someone mentioned on mine, they asked how you could use API calls with AutoHotkey. First, they asked about doing finance requests, like stock market stuff. And I said, yeah, I had used, and I should have been more particular, said web service API calls, right, where I'm connecting to browser. and I'm sorry, a website, not a browser. And there are public APIs that companies make available, and one comes to the top of my head. I think the Yahoo Finance one is readily available for getting information about the stock market. It's super fast, and you can do a lot of calls with AutoHotkey. Now, the only thing compared to now, this is one of those examples I did in Python years ago, and with Python in true multi-threading, I could have a list of 500 different not symbols. What are they called? The stock exchange. Maybe the symbols, whatever. And it would go do all of them in piece and all, it didn't wait for one and then the next one and the next one. And that's, to me, one of the true benefits of multi-threading is you're not waiting. It's not a linear process. Now, granted, you can still do that with AutoHotkey H in AutoHotkey.
That's what I was trying to remember. I knew there was a version out there where you could.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the webinar on AutoHotkey H, Hotkey, the author of AutoHotkey H, demonstrated how he an example of doing multi-threading. It was really cool.
Sorry, I'm just reading.
Tickers, thank you. Yeah, so it was the tickers I was trying to think of. It's been a few years since I've monkeyed with it. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. I don't know about you, Tom. I gotta
yeah, pretty good
here. But
I'll reach out to this one guy. If I figure out exactly what he meant, I will.
Yeah, and
do it on next Friday.
What I had mentioned also was I'm going to start planning to invite like one other guest as well. And Tom, as far as I'm concerned, you're always welcome. I don't care. It's just to have a more themed kind of thing as well. We'll hopefully have every once in a while have some expert that works in a given area. And then it gives us a little more specific stuff to talk about as well. So thanks, you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
There we go.